Hello and welcome to My Turn, a film and TV podcast in which Remap analyzes works old and new and follows connections between them. I'm Jenna Garcia, and I'm your host for today, joined by our producer, Chia Contreras.
Hello.
And cursed by a love for the Chicago Bears, we got both Rob Zachney and Patrick Klepek.
Wow.
I got him. The whole premise of this movie
whatever,
where people
right?
are just like, oh, we got to watch our team in the playoffs one more time before. I'm like, fuck you.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, there's a lot going to be a lot of that. And today we're talking about 80 for Brady, a film that was released February 3rd, 2023. It is directed by Kyle Marvin, written by Sarah Haskins and Emily Harpin, who, fun fact, also wrote on Booksmart. And 80 for Brady is also starring Lily Tomlin, Jane Fonda, Rita Morrow, Sally Field, and Tom Brady, alongside a bunch of other fun guest cameos, which I'm sure we will get into. But just to kick things off, we have a little bit of a summary of this film. 80 for Brady follows a group of old ladies who have been watching the Pats for 16 years together. And they actually started watching when Lou, who is sort of the main person of the group, got cancer, was going through chemo, and just by happenstance had the game on, and it kind of just became this big cultural touchstone in their group. So they decide they want to go to the 2017 Super Bowl, which was New England Patriots facing the Atlanta Falcons. There's like a contest where this podcast, how official is the podcast? We'll get into it. I don't know if it's like a pseudo ESPN or just like a, kind of crowdfunded vibe, which, hey, relatable. They're out there doing some ticket contest giveaway for it. So that's their first attempt, but they're unsuccessful. But Lou reveals to the group that they won the tickets, but in reality, it's heavily implied that she just kind of maybe got them herself. And getting to the Super Bowl itself involves several ordeals and fun circumstances, including but not limited to a sleeping pill mix-up, weed gummies, poker, a hot wing eating contest, and most notably losing said tickets. Despite it all, they do recover the tickets, only to realize they're fakes. The tickets that Lou secretly bought turned out to be scams. That's when she kind of reveals her motivation behind this is fear of her cancer coming back. But luckily, their shenanigans in the days prior gave them the hookups and connections to get into the stadium and eventually make their way into a luxury suite. But guess what? The drama does not end there, because the Patriots are getting their ass whooped in that game. Not wanting to stand for this, Lou and the gang break into the coordinator's booth and call a few plays, but what really turns the tides is Lou talking directly to Tom Brady with a heartfelt speech about what his playing has meant for her and how it's not about the past, good times or bad, it's about right now. They then do their historic comeback. It's all fine and dandy. The film kind of closes out with, let the good times roll. There's a little bit of a nod to them continuing to watch and a question on, what happens to Lou with her cancer? Ooh, turns out she's fine. Yay. Credits. And then post credits, they're on the beach, they're relaxing, talking about retirement. And then you see that they are also talking to Tom Brady, asking him when he's going to retire. And that is the film. I am dying to hear from y'all about this. It is the second time I'm watching 80 for Brady, so I want to go around the horn. What did you think going into this? What did you know about it? And how did it turn out for you now that you're on the other side of things?
Okay, fine. I'll go first. Because I already revealed that I was... Look, I would say the vast majority of... I viewed this film through a television lens, which is to say, most of the television that I watch these days is dour and serious, prestige TV, right? I grew up on sitcoms, and there is incredible sitcom energy throughout 80 for Brady. If you just told me this was a movie length episode of an ongoing TV series involving these four women, I would believe you. And viewed through that lens, part of what I was deeply charmed by this film was this isn't film a several camera sitcom on a set, but it has all the feelings of that exactly. And these are a lot of really incredible talents bringing way too much to bear on a film that really doesn't deserve it, and setups that don't really earn their talents. And yet I don't know how you couldn't be like at least mildly amused by these actors like interacting with one another. That's how I came in. Like, didn't know what to expect from the movie. My expectations were on the floor. I was like, I think I just spent 90 minutes watching a charming sitcom that I'm not going to ever think about again. But I was shocked at how much I missed the format, the whimsy, and the sort of empty calorie nature of the sitcom that explains why they're popular, explains why like a 70 a 7 season show blows up on Netflix. Like, why don't they make these shows like they used to? Because you cancel everything after a season, and they all cost $15 million per episode, and like they're never given a shot to find an audience. This, like, as a whole, harkened back to a different type of show that I used to watch a lot as a kid, and I found myself charmed from that perspective. The movie is like a massive view, like viewed through any other lens, I find, but from that lens in particular, there's like no way I could argue I like my time was wasted, because every time I'm like rolling my eyes, I don't know, someone actually like made me chuckle, and I felt a little bit guilty about it. And I was like, I shouldn't feel guilty about that. Like, it's okay. Like, that was a fun little exchange. We could be okay with that, Patrick.
Yeah.
I'll know better what I think once I finish watching this movie in the other window.
Wait, what?
I kind of misunderstood the assignment. I did say I was feeling a little bit under the weather before the show. I'm thrilled to hear they got into the stadium in the end.
Wow, spoilers.
No, I just fucking with you.
Okay.
I think there's a couple things there. One is that I think some of the premise that is here in the movie specifically calls this out is like, man, don't we miss the Golden Girls? And this is like, well, what if we did that again? But that was just a little movie with a murderer's row of actresses. The other thing that sort of jumped out at me, and I was maybe not expecting this as much from it, and maybe I should have. So in general, sort of as a joke that like Hollywood like makes women completely disappear after 50, and you know, they get demoted to supporting roles such like and such, but like past 70, they're just gone. Like there's just no, or sorry, you're not in, you don't see these characters in movies very very often anymore. These actors, and so here it's like, God damn, that's Lily Tomlin. That's Jane Fonda. They're all like it is an astonishing amount of firepower in this movie. I think part of the reason that they're all here is because like
That's wild.
it's not a ton of like opportunities for actors of this age and caliber to be cast in leading roles anymore. And so you have a sort of fun ensemble thing. But the other thing that comes with that territory is this is more of a movie about like aging and loss than I was expecting. MK had to punch out early. She was like, because of the stuff that like we are dealing with a lot of elder care stuff right now in the background, and it is a fucking death march. It is like just brutal on multiple angles, and this movie's kind of highlighting the stuff that like, hey, this stuff doesn't always get better, and some of this is going to be about just like years go by and you start losing people. Like I think one of the characters is explicitly like a widow, recently widowed, Rita Moreno's character. Lily Tomlin, it's never clear whether like she and her partner, like she has a kid, but like there's no partner in the picture, which meant that like she was kind of dealing with cancer on her own, except for her friends and this friendship that's forged around her. And in the background, like I beat cancer, and it was because like my friends were around me, they helped a ton, and I had the paths to concentrate on. Yeah, okay, but you're always going to be afraid that cancer's coming back. Like that the part of your experience of life at this age is going to be, time to check back in at oncology to see how things are going, and. You know, you've got Rita Moreno's character who's like was living in low key. She's the rich one, like the facility she is in. Now that I know the territory more, now that I understand how far money goes and what it buys you in terms of like retirement community, elder care, stuff like that. She ain't a little rich. And there's a bit of me. It's like you could have just bought these tickets. You could have just done it. Why are you making your fixed income friends dig deep and like, let's try to get this?
You don't get rich writing checks. That's what the rich people always say.
So true. So true. But like, cause she is in, like, that is a facility that I would bet you
$1 million
is
a
like
year?
an 8-10 grand a month facility.
Yeah.
Like those a place like that is genuinely like a resort as much as a elder care, like ridiculously expensive, and there's no government aid for shit like that. Like Medicare does not kick in if you're taking care of yourself that way. But she's there because she still has her house. She's still like she's not dealing with any sort of chronic issues or disabilities. She started living there because her husband was dying, basically, and so he needed to be in that facility. So she lived there with him, and now she's living in the house where he died, but it's not a house; it's a facility. And so, like, stuff like that is I was surprised for how lighthearted and fantastical parts of the premise are. A lot of this is founded on like this is kind of a scary and sad time in a lot of people's lives, and there's a lot of questions swirling around like what does continuing to be alive mean at this stage? Because there's a lot of things they're pointing to, like things are over, right? Like, you know, your partner passes away, you know, that you're gonna get sicker, and so how do you like find joy and things to look forward to at moments like this? And that I was not expecting the movie to be as much about that, to sort of look at that head on as much as it does, but in a really palatable, like, you know, candy floss kind of way, it does that. There's moments it really hits.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of my watch was immediately colored by the opening credits scene and seeing the tag producer Tom Brady on it. And like I'm with you, Rob, that like a lot of like I was surprised how like directly a lot of that stuff was tackled. And I think honestly the only other thing that was as like there was and the like, you know, the comedy pulls it back. But the other thing that also kept me distracted was just like, damn, they paid with this through so many like licensing deals. Like the Microsoft Surface one killed me. It's just like,
wait, hang on, that one didn't register.
It was they were in during her speech to Tom Brady at the end of the movie. She's standing over.
Oh no, okay.
Kyle,
That's
that
the
is an NFL thing.
So
That's not a brand. It
That
is a branding thing, but not
Right.
a Brady thing.
Right, sure. I'm just saying, like it
They
like
didn't I don't think they got any money for that, though. You have to show that.
you think the NFL?
so this is the thing, Kata, what you're alluding to here.
Sure.
In a weird way, you're like, oh man, this like their sort of portrayal of like the NFL experience. It's just like it's like Disney for football nerds and shit like that.
Yeah, I mean,
But
like,
also the whole like shitty corporate, like that is just the experience of football. Yeah,
Right.
no, like you are not allowed. Nobody can have a tablet in the NFL unless it is a Surface, and it has to have. It has to have the big Microsoft Surface,
big
like
Microsoft
rubberized
Surface.
back.
Microsoft pays for
always
the
see.
right to have that there,
Right,
as opposed
right.
to the NFL paying. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
it's,
It's like it's
It's
advertising,
tough to
right? Yeah,
it's
yeah.
tough to tease apart. I think the movie is actually okay on the product placement. It's just when they go to the NFL world, it's like,
It's
God
because
damn, this is
that's how the
branded as fuck.
NFL is. yeah. And you know, in general, I did, you know, very similar to Patrick. I caught myself like chuckling, being like, okay, that was a good one, and then being just like, I mean, I'm in it at this point, right? Like I laughed along. It was very funny, as ridiculous as it got, and I think the game itself was like I remember watching this. That
yeah.
was
Yeah, did all of you watch this like in real life when it happened? Because to be clear, this is a real life game. If that wasn't clear in my
the
summary.
dynamics that played out were well, I don't think he was yelled at from the 300
No, I'm amazed
level.
they finally got the true story of this.
right.
But it explains. I mean, I think we were all wondering how this happened. You know,
This is like discovery. This is like making a movie about the Kennedy assassination or something, and like Tinkerbell shows up and gives Lee Harvey Oswald like an inspiring speech to like make him believe he can do it. Like
Jesus, that's the poll.
Look, I think a lot of people were not rooting for the Pats to pull this out.
Oh, no. Well, you're
Right.
yes, you are.
In terms
correct
of
there.
people's
No, that's
memories
the
of
thing.
this, I think it is up there with like major political or world events that people remember where they were and who they were with when 28-3 happened. Now, I didn't watch this game.
wow.
So, but I do have, but I have a very vivid memory of it because basically at that point I was visiting. God, this was literally right before I joined Waypoint.
right. Yeah.
I was in Minneapolis for a Red Bull thing, and I was hanging out with a friend of mine from Gamers with Jobs, Sean Sands, and we were both kind of like, do we really want to watch another Patriots Super Bowl? Like, let's just fuck this. Like, we've seen this movie before. Fuck it. So we started playing a Star Wars board game, Rebellion.
Oh, nice.
And
Incredible.
yeah.
so we're playing it, and so I'm playing the Rebel side. He's playing the Imperials. And the whole name of this game is like the Rebels basically have to like run the clock and survive, and the Imperials have to like find the Rebel base and destroy it before in a certain length of time. And there's a lot of like hidden, like where's your base hidden? You got this like board full of planets from Star Wars, and we're playing it, and holy shit, like the Falcons are whooping their asses, incredible. I mean, we should watch this game, and then we start checking the score, and like our game's going on, and it's like, hey, it's tightening up. It's getting kind of okay. It's tied. They're in overtime.
No.
And at that point, we were even less inclined to break away because it was like, oh, no, see, it is happening. Like we'd actually been more like, oh, damn, we're missing like the Pats getting their asses kicked. This would have been fun to watch. Mm-hmm. But as the game tightened, it was like, it's happening again. It always happens with this team. Like there is sort of a dark guardian angel around this team.
Never count out touchdown, Tom.
Pretty much. Now, also playing that game, that game ended. My game ended with one of my favorite board gaming memories, which is like Sean was assemble the entire Imperial fleet. This game had great minis, so it's like you got the Executor, Star Destroyer, everything's like pushing it out there. He thinks he knows where my base is. He wipes out the Rebel fleet in a pitched battle. I've got nothing, but my base is still hidden. And he looks at the board, and he basically has time for one more guess. He guesses wrong, and then he looks at the board, and he looks up at me, and he's like, "Is the Rebel base on Dantooine?" And I was like, "Yes, yes it is." And so, if you've watched in Star Wars: A New Hope, yes, the place that Leia tells Tarkin that the rebels are operating out of is Dantooine, and they go there and they discover the rebels aren't there. That's bullshit. And so I was
But it was an old rebel base. There was an old rebel base that they had abandoned long ago, right? So there was still something there.
That's pretty good.
So I was like, he'll never
very
guess
funny.
that I would actually put the rebel base on Dantooine. And so that was for me. I'm so much happier that I have that memory than of watching the Pats like claw that down.